Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined this week by Debhausen, the great and powerful, Tony Justice, the greatest truck driver of all time, and John in South Jersey. What's up, people?
Hello.
What's happening?
Well, the chat's filling up already. I want to give a shout out to Sam's in there, Mine Runner. Thanks, Deb. I know you recently spent some time with Mine Runner.
Yes.
And to answer your question, Mind Runner, nobody sits at the head of the Nation's Corner table. We are all equal.
It's a circle.
We are a round table, usually with a lot of food and alcohol.
Yes.
Exactly.
And cheers.
All right, just get soda. It's early.
Ease into it on a Saturday night.
And we got Seth's in there and RA's in there, of course, and a bunch of people watching live. Man, it's crazy. Like, the whole world of pro wrestling has been moving at such a pace that, like, people like Sam and Dave and all these people that are doing emergency pods, and you put that one out, and then the next day something happens, and they're doing like 4 a week, and it's just like, holy crap, how do we keep up with everything? And that's just one company. There's all this other stuff going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I listened to Sam's emergency podcast this morning at work. That was very interesting, I will say.
Yeah, I recommend that.
He's a very interesting dude.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is. It turns out he's very busy with apparently an even greater number of responsibilities. If you're paying attention, he has yet another job. So, congratulations to Sam.
Yeah. How's karma, Matt Camp? You Judas. How's that champagne cocktail now? Good luck finding a job.
Damn.
F Matt Camp. F Matt Camp.
Oh, that shit's cold.
It is. Well, look what he did to us. Look what he did to us.
Hurt you?
I'll show you on the doll where Matt Camp hurt me.
The whole doll.
The whole
doll.
All the way down.
Or the doll.
All the way down to my 1.5 legs.
Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Oh, God. Okay. Anywho, off the rails already.
Off the rails already. Before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to our good friend of the show, Karen Peterson. She is just put on her socials a few days ago. She has her first merch line out. If you don't know Karen, she's an incredible addition or incredible influence in the world of Japanese pro wrestling. She does a lot of translation, a lot of interviews. She's just a wealth of knowledge and a great person. So go over to her Twitter at Hey Karen Sensei and check all of her stuff out. She's got a really cool new shirt. So I did order mine this week. So once I get it, I'll show it to y'all on the shirt on the show. But I'm super happy for her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
There's Neil.
Neil has
No
made it.
show without Neil.
Yep.
Neil and I just scored our WrestleCade tickets. Yes, that's WrestleCade in November. See, rows 1 and 2 VIP sold out on the pre-order almost immediately.
Of course.
My guess is all 4 rows will probably sell out before they even go live. So every year in February, they pretty much sell out of all their VIP tickets for the November show. So
right.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
That's crazy.
Very cool.
WrestleCade has become definitely a massive show to go see.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in going, check out WrestleCade on Facebook and send them a DM, and you can get in on their pre-sale. It's super fun. We just have a blast. And there's so many wrestlers and fans and stuff that know each other. It's like this big community event. It's pretty fun.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's start not at the top, but let's start at the front. Let's start with last night. Let's start with SmackDown. And I want to get your opinions on The Rock and Roman Reigns promo, because I saw a lot of differing opinions. Busted Open had some very harsh comments about it, and I have some thoughts. But overall, and it was a shorter promo than I expected. John, let me start with you. What was your overall thoughts about the segment as a whole?
As some of the previous promos have gone, this one didn't seem to have that similar kind of hype to it, but definitely for me, we're starting to see a little bit more of the fleshing out of the heel Rock character that has been kind of hinted at and everything. He came out, everything about him last night let everybody know that it is, full on heel Rock. There is no in between. There is none of that. From the shirt that he wore, that was a callback to his Attitude Era, where he would come out with the $500 shirt The Rock wears, and his verbiage. He is still hammering home the Cody crybabies, everything. Honestly, while we didn't get bombshell type information out of it, to me it absolutely fleshed out more that what we're going to be seeing, especially from The Rock going forward now to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. Deb.
So I listened to some of Busted Open this morning. And they
You poor thing.
they definitely had some thoughts and opinions.
There was content.
Yeah. And I generally don't agree with their thoughts and opinions on the subject. I didn't really see anything wrong with the segment last night. I don't know. It's from what they were talking about on Busted Open, it seems like there's a lot of people who are like confused and upset because it's not predictable, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But I had no problem with it. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought the little jabs that the sports related jabs were pretty funny. And I'm, guys, I'm not even like a big sports person. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I want to break down some of the comments specifically because there's some stuff I wanted to get your thoughts on.
Yeah.
Tony, are you buying into this heel Rock?
I am, yeah. To piggyback off of what John said, I mean, there was nothing about The Rock last night that told you he was anything but a heel, all the way to his parking job out in the parking lot. That irritated the crap out of me. Y'all know that I'm OCD, like when it comes to straight pictures and stuff. But when I saw that, I went into like, oh my God, I had to go away and walk outside and get some fresh air.
And I've literally watched you like back up your big truck into a tiny ass spot at the truck stop. So yeah. I knew that was going to bug you immediately.
Yeah. So I mean, I have now I have parked vehicles before, Elder and Jackie at Jimmy's. Y'all remember when we went to go eat with Mark Henry?
Yes.
I had to park their van because they couldn't park it.
Yeah.
There's that horn.
I heard it that time.
So anyway, the promo he cut last night was great. I looked at the clock when he came on screen, and it was there were 16 minutes left until the end of the show. And I was like, wow, they're going to have a long segment. And then when they went to commercial break during his entrance, when they came back, he's in the ring, and he was talking, but he was, things he was saying to the crowd, he brought back the whole, when he told the person in the crowd he was going to come out there and slap the herpes off his lip, that popped me. That popped me. But when he would do that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when he would do that and he would just pick people out of the crowd and just cut them down and keep on going. Right. He's definitely, it's a view back to his Hollywood Rock heel character in 2003.
But a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Not the same.
No, he's not as cocky as he was when he was Hollywood Rock in 2003 around WrestleMania 19 because I was there for that. The Raw after the WrestleMania 19 when he was in the ring and the ring was red because they were having some sort of celebration for The Rock, and then Goldberg came out for the first time in WWE. And I mean, he was cocky back then. Now it's a little more. It's like he knows where he sits. Matured. Yes, and I'm interested to see. Yeah, he's going on with the Cody Crybaby stuff. Now it's Cody's turn to retort, and we'll just see what happens on Raw Monday. But I liked it. I just didn't. I don't know if they talked about it this morning because I didn't listen to the show. I didn't listen to Busted Open this morning, but I don't know if they talked about where he stuck his hand in the air and did
I don't know.
Which was just
about half.
Which was just an acknowledgement to La Greca. That's all that was.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get to this, and Steve is in the chat, and I'll pull his comment up in a minute. I want to go on record as saying when all this happens, and y'all know me, I said Rock and Cody are in cahoots. We even joked about cahoots weeks ago, right?
Because I literally remember I was going back and I watched that clip not that long ago when I was editing things. And I remember when you started, like, you were talking and I had a thought in my head and I was like, and then I kept that thought in my head and you said they're in cahoots. I'm like, yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yep. And we've been talking about that because if you guys remember, go all the way back to the first piece where Cody said, I had a conversation with The Rock. Like, he got guidance and advice from The Rock. And then all of a sudden he's letting The Rock have his spot. And then of course the internet tells us that they pivoted and all this other bullshit, right? So I'm just
we want Cody.
He says, I believe everything Rock's doing is theatrics to make Roman vulnerable. Roman Empire, Trojan Horse. Yep, this is the Rock Cody story. So here's the thing. Rock is a heel now because that's what he is trying to portray. He's trying to get everybody to hate him, which of course you heard even last night there was still some Rocky chants because he's The Rock. He's not going to get 100% booed.
Right.
I think, and if you listen to Sam's podcast, and we've all been talking about this for a while, Rock keeps saying he's a long gamer. This is not a 7-week story. This is not an 8-week story.
Sure.
I genuinely think that Rock is going to get the victory for Cody, the championship piece of it, but the bigger piece of it, the head of the table, the bloodline, the tribal chief, that is the longer term story that The Rock is going to take all of that from Roman, but it's not going to be right now. I think those are two separate stories. And I still think that, so there's a lot of stuff about the promo last night that I wanted to mention. Only The Rock, in my opinion, can go out there and make religious jokes about the Mormons on live Fox TV, a conservative network.
Right.
And everybody's okay with this because it's The Rock. Right?
Yeah, sure.
There was, and the sign in the audience that said Mormon reigns, I was dying. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But the question I wanted to ask you guys, there's very specific things, and we know everything counts, right? And Roman even said that. He said everything we say matters. Everything they say has a meaning, and usually, and oftentimes, in this type of story, it's a double meaning. So when Roman and Rock were in the ring together, and Roman's nodding, and Rock's talking about the domination of the duo of the bloodline, do you think that was accidental, or do you think he was referring to the two of them being the power players?
Absolutely. Now, to me, I could look at that one of two ways. One, that here's The Rock inserting himself into this, position of power within the bloodline. But is he looking to make dissension within the bloodline? Because you have Jimmy and Solo. Especially Solo. Solo, if we all remember, was the one who was anointed the next one.
Right.
And besides the fact that they haven't done anything more than Roman's bidding as of late. Now they're being almost completely seeming just because The Rock has come upon the scene. That like they're totally being pushed aside, and I can see both of them, especially given their past, that they're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in this too. My name's on that big old tree that you printed up. Why not us? And it could. Those are one of the two ways I see it going. But again, it's another layer that can be added because you haven't heard from Jimmy or Solo on any of this. And, you know, mainly the only people talking so far are Rock and Roman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Two things. Number one, when The Rock said that about the most powerful duo, I was looking at Jimmy's face when he said that, and it showed Jimmy's face, and it was kind of like you seen him kind of side eye and kind of had a look on his face. Right. Number two, when Roman arrived to the arena yesterday, they showed the backstage when he arrived, and Paul got out and opened the door, and they got out. He went straight to Jimmy and kind of, come here, man, and put his arms around him. And Jimmy was looking at him like, what are you doing? And then he hugged him. And once Roman hugged him, then Jimmy got all happy.
Right.
It reminded me of those of us with dogs. When you get onto your dog earlier in the day for something they did wrong, and then you want to love on them again, they act all kind of timid, but when you love on them, they're all happy, they're wagging their tail and everything. That's exactly how Jimmy acted yesterday when Roman did that to him. Then he was bouncing around back behind Roman, getting Solo, trying to get him fired up, and he was just all, giddy, So that was funny. I noticed that last night.
So that's a question. I'm sorry, Deb. You go ahead first. I got a question after.
So the only thing that I have to add really is I just thought of this. So we keep talking about when Cody said, I'm going to take everything from you, just not at WrestleMania. And now, there's a lot of confusion. Like, why did he say that? But now we have the match announced for Mania. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about that. If Cody and The Rock are in cahoots, Cody's going to take the championship. Rock's going to take the head of the table tribal chief, position. So maybe one of those puzzle pieces does not happen at Mania. And that's what Cody means about not at Mania, because one of it is going to happen at Mania. But then, like Cody said, he's going to take everything. He's going to take everything from him. So I think, and that ties in also with the longer term storytelling. Not all of this is going to be settled at Mania.
Yeah.
There's still going to be more to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tony.
Real quick, Deb, reason I chuckled when you said the only thing I have to add, immediately I thought Barry Gibb talk show. For those of us that watch Jimmy, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Go ahead, front row.
Sorry. Stupid.
So the thing that was bothering me last night at the press conference kickoff thing, Cody came in, reverse direction, said, I want Roman at Mania. All the shit happens. We get to SmackDown last night. Roman says, we're going to fix it. Rock comes out and he says, I'm here to fix it. To me, that means, okay, I need to get the Roman Rock match back into the conversation. Mm-hmm. That's not where they went. They didn't ever talk about that. In fact, Rock said in his mind now, fixing it is making sure that Cody loses. But as a fan, all this stuff happened at the kickoff. All this swirl and chaos around which match was going to be in the main event. Now they've just moved on. So I don't think they're done with that conversation. It was a weird thing to me. It was like I missed a chapter in the story. Like I missed a week. I'm like, well, when did they fix that? Because Rock was backstage yelling at Triple H saying, fucking fix this.
Fix this. Right.
Or we will.
And Triple H comes on TV the next week and goes, no. And that was it. There's got to be more than that, right?
Right.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if we've learned anything with this whole saga over the last few years, is that none of it's really ever finished. There's been multiple times that we thought it was done. We thought that, the Bloodline story is done. Where do they go from here? And then it just keeps going. So yeah, nothing's ever settled.
I'm sorry, real quick. I want to shout out to MJF Scarfy.
Yes.
Make sure you like this video. Yes. John Bay says, well, let me like the video even more. You guys are awesome.
I was about to point that out. Yeah, MJF Scarf is our cheerleader today. Thank you, MJF Scarf.
You guys rule.
Thank you, guys. Hey, thank you.
Best scarf in all the land.
I still say he's the second piece of inanimate object in wrestling. So,
There you go.
But that's okay. So that's the thing, right? You mentioned The Rock, and it's all these little things are important. The Rock coming in and parking with the big rock energy, for lack of a better term. He just parks wherever the fuck he wants because he's The Rock, and that character would do that. He would park in the middle of a parking garage and just leave it there.
Crooked.
Yeah.
right.
Because the rules don't apply to him, the character, not the person, right?
True.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
that further reinforces his return to form, not as the Rock character we saw in the 90s, but like you said, Tony, this is an evolution of that character. This is take all of the stuff from that and now add the layer of the board member of the $22 billion company, legit position that puts him in a place of power that is above anybody that's in wrestling currently.
Yeah.
Right. One point I want to make. Remember last week we were talking about Rock, and you had asked me, Tony, do you think that with his position on the board and all that, do you think that his heel work is going to interfere with his position on the board? Well, I don't think after last night he's worried too much about that because of the things he said in the ring. He's not worried about that, so it's going to take care of itself.
Yeah, and that kind of like the Rock style trash talk is one of the reasons why I was drawn to wrestling in the first place. The Rock is, what, like even before I started watching wrestling, like everybody knows who The Rock is. And he was one of the people that got me interested in watching. And his trash talk style is just so Muhammad Ali. Like that's the that's the shit that Muhammad Ali would do. And I grew up idolizing Muhammad Ali. So surprise, I gravitate towards the heels.
Right.
Yep.
Where did Gorgeous George get it? Muhammad Ali.
No, it's the
other way around. No, Gorgeous George was before Muhammad Ali then.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali was a fan of Gorgeous George.
Yes.
At least the urban lore is that. I'm pretty sure I've heard that story 100 times or so. But either way, but you're right. It goes so far back.
I might be wrong.
I might be wrong. I'm willing to accept new data.
You may be right. I may be crazy.
Now we're going Billy Joel. And I get yelled at for going off the rails. Okay.
All of that is true or none of it is.
Okay.
We had a Billy Joel sighting last night on SmackDown.
I know, I saw. You pointed it out.
It was a picture in the back.
Anywho, where were we?
Real quick, John Bay is mentioning who will Gunther face. I do want to talk about that. Well, and if we have time tonight, I do want to hit on that a little bit because we were talking last night about this whole storyline and all of the players involved, especially with The Rock being in the mix on TV regularly. To me, it feels like it's overshadowing a lot of other good stuff. And it's not that we're not watching and enjoying. If you listen to Busted Open, they spent 2 weeks pretty much all day, every day talking about this one thing with a few slight exceptions, right? Now, granted, there's a lot of story that's coming out. There's a lot of news stuff behind the scenes, reports and all this other stuff. So I get it. It's what people are tuning in for. But I'm looking at all the landscape of WWE. You've got so many things coming up for WrestleMania and we're going to hit on it as we get closer because a lot of that stuff hasn't really formulated yet. But even next week we have Elimination Chamber, and they promote it on TV, but they're not really. Fans aren't really talking about it the way they would be a major PLE right before Mania.
Yeah, no.
Do you guys feel the same way?
Absolutely. Like I even had to, when I even looked up to get the match graphics for Elimination Chamber, I usually just go to Twitter and scroll through WWE's Twitter page, and the match graphics are usually right there that I can save. And I couldn't find them. I'm scrolling, couldn't find them. I went to their website and finally got them off of their website. But yeah, the conversation is very much around Bloodline and Mania, and I think Elimination Chamber is almost getting forgotten. It's next week already.
Yeah.
And it sucks that you're gonna have to wake up early to watch it.
I'm not waking up.
5 in the morning. No. No.
I'm with Sam. No.
That's a hard no. But
I will watch it later in the day, though.
Yeah,
I'll watch
absolutely.
Yes,
I
I
will.
will watch it later in the afternoon.
In the afternoon with a coffee and a cigar when it's a regular time.
Exactly. Yeah. When it's normal hours.
Not waking up at 5 a.m.
Regular business hours.
Might even watch it on Zoom together. Just wait to watch it on Zoom.
Trend is at 2 a.m. over there in California. That's ridiculous.
Trend is usually up at 2.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's besides the point.
But yeah, I'm looking at the match graphics or the match lineup for Elimination Chamber. I mean, you've got Rhea versus Nia, for the Women's World Championship. You've got the 2 chamber matches, and you have the tag team match for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. And they've got those 4 matches are already announced, which I like. I hope they do keep it to that, because like what they did with the Royal Rumble, they made minimum amount of matches, and I felt like the show flowed better. So I hope they kind of keep it to that, though.
Yeah, I would agree. And we have our men's Elimination Chamber matches all filled in, and we only have 1 open spot left for the women's. We'll find that out on Raw.
Yeah, there's a battle royal for that spot, right?
Yeah.
But again, my thought on it is in years past, and even last year, even though yes, between Rumble and Mania, there's usually a PLE of some sort, but coming out of Rumble, you kind of had an idea of who and what was going to be involved as far as WrestleMania, and even Elimination Chamber is a week away. Even that still has implications for WrestleMania, and we still really don't know outside of a small handful of matches exactly what is going to happen at WrestleMania yet. And to me, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And there's really, watch the product and enjoy the ride and enjoy everything that leads up to it. But it's almost like, I don't know if they've just forgotten about it, or if the fans, us included, were, so focused on the whole thing with Cody and the Bloodline and The Rock that while we're still getting incredible stories and content from both shows about other people, it just isn't getting over the noise. And I think that, will they, if it needs fixing, will they fix that? Absolutely. We'll have a very clear picture of things and exactly what is going to be going on by the time we get Mania.
Yeah, and Steve's right in the chat. Like, it's an international event. It's going to be a massive show. It's going to be a great show no matter what, even if our discourse here has kind of, overshadowed it. I love that they're doing these big international shows. It's awesome for the fans in these other countries to be able to get a big show like this. I think I saw one post saying that in Australia, like, they only ever really get small house shows. So it's a big deal for them to get a massive show like this, especially in the lead up to WrestleMania. So I'm happy for that. It's just I'm not going to watch it live.
I'm not that happy about it.
That's an untapped economy, because there's been those shows that they've had. There's been other companies that run over there. I mean, even you see, I know it's different, but like Taylor Swift did 3 nights there, like 90-something thousand people a night. They're just that type of entertainment. They don't get big scale Super Bowl, WrestleMania, 100,000. Like, they don't get that often. So it's going to be pretty cool. I'm definitely going to be excited to watch it. So I'll stay off of socials and all that stuff and watch it in the afternoon. But Steve's right. Clash at the Castle was a big deal. It is a slightly less of a time difference. It's only 6 hours instead of like 14 or whatever. But you're absolutely right. Those international shows, especially the ones that are in the UK or anywhere in Europe, I love watching a Saturday 3 p.m. Card. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
Right.
at first when they did the first couple Saturday afternoon shows, I was like, oh, it's gonna be weird watching wrestling in the afternoon. But I loved it. I was like, I can, sit here and have a relaxing afternoon watching wrestling, and then the show's over, and I still have the rest of my evening. I'm so used to watching wrestling and then going to bed once the show's over. So yeah, it's nice to be able to watch a show and it's over like before dinner time.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm gonna choke my camera.
You're choking everything today, huh?
Yeah. I don't know
Do
what the
this.
heck's wrong with it.
Put your hand in front of it, and then slowly back away.
Why am I looking at your hand?
No, it's not doing it. Good Lord.
I don't know what to tell you.
Y'all go on without me.
Well, if all else fails, do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's camera got started.
There it is.
Early.
There it is.
There we go. There we go.
Freaking low G camera, whatever it's called. Low G. LOGI.
Logitech.
Logi. Yes.
Yeah.
Logitech. Yeah.
Well, there goes that sponsorship. Thanks. Nah, blew that one up. Never mind.
Yeah. Screw you, Logitech.
Well,
yeah, I said it.
Front
could have been a
looking at you like
sponsor.
you're speaking from the 1950s or something. Like, what is that called?
Yep.
Just drink more.
I like
Now
mine.
everybody's,
I do.
now everybody's blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
What happened? There's
Okay.
4 of you.
Oh my god. All right.
So I wanted to ask you guys, because Deb, you mentioned it in our pre-show, and it was something that was been really bothering me. It's not new. It's this whole idea of like dirt sheets trying to report on stuff that isn't true, and I know that's not exactly a new concept, but this week really was a massive fail. Like they all reported on Tommy Dreamer being the new head of creative for TNA, and as they're reading the report live on Busted Open, he's like, "I am." It's like I've been working there for years. Like nothing's changing. Like I'm on the creative team. I'm not head of creative. He's like, did I get promoted? But everybody was reporting it as if it was fact. And Tommy's live on the air going, yeah, that's not true. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was literally at the end of the show. So right before 12 o'clock Eastern time, they're talking about this. And it continued to be reported throughout the day. Like he already spoke about it. He already explained himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's humorous in a way because it's just so silly, like that people are continuing to report something even when the person has already come out and said it's not, necessarily true. But then it's also frustrating because then things just spread so fast. Mm-hmm. And I told you guys about this post that I saw scrolling through Facebook, not even a page that I follow, but you get like sponsored posts and stuff of things that they think you'll enjoy. And all the comments are like talking about how like Tommy Dreamer is such and such. I'm not gonna say what they said, but like these people don't even realize that Tommy's already really been doing that job for years.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the narrative, right? They say, "Oh, this is what we've been told. Tommy's now head of creative. We think he's going to do a terrible job, even though he's already been doing the job for years, and we love the stuff he's been doing, but we didn't know he was doing. But now we're here."
Right.
It's like somebody gives you a
Tommy
delicious donut and
Dreamer
says, "Oh, by the way,
is going to ruin TNA. Mark my word." Just like I just reported with him being head of creative! ! But just
the fact that he was literally live on national radio and said, "I don't know, that's news to me. I mean, nothing's changing. We're a team environment. We have a great team. Nothing's changing as far as what we've been doing." And yet it just continued to be talked about as if it was some big thing.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows my opinion on dirt sheets, but
it's not just that, John. It's this. people have this need to take something and put themselves in the reality that they haven't verified. They have no idea. We've seen it. We know wrestlers who have read stuff about themselves and have said, yeah, none of that didn't happen. I don't know where that came from. We've been in the room with people and seen stuff reported incorrectly.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's no accountability. That's the problem. Any Joe Schmo can get a website domain and call themselves a wrestling news site and type a bunch of shit up.
Yes, and that's to me, that's truly the hypocrisy of it. You can't turn around and say, excuse me, you can't say that I am a wrestling journalist. I report and no. You're not. You're some sort of bottom feeder that's looking to get clicks. And there's no absolutely zero integrity to it. And to be honest, you're not reporting news. You're not reporting facts. Right. You're not reporting
they're reporting rumors and hearsay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Example, one of my friends texted me last night while we were on Zoom and told me Floyd Mayweather was found dead in his home last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, number one, I go to Twitter, go to trending, see if it's on Twitter anywhere. Number two, I go to Google, check to see if mainstream media's reported it anywhere. Didn't see it anywhere. I go and I see there's a Floyd Mayweather hoax going around, death hoax. So I replied back to him and I said, dude, it's a hoax, man. It's fake news. And he goes, no, dude, I read it on. I said, dude, it's not. It's not true. I know what to tell you. It's not true. And it wasn't true. I mean, if you're willing to just accept things at face value, just whatever you read on the internet, the internet said it, so it's true. No. I mean, you have to verify. You have to make sure because.
But the problem is most people don't know how to verify.
Right.
That's the problem is the media illiteracy and the internet illiteracy that people see, some article shared on Facebook that they see through their feed and they literally don't know how to go about verifying if it's true or not.
Right.
Well,
look, I hate to break it down for people, and I know everybody knows this, or at least I think people are smartened up to it at this point. Sam Roberts once said that there's no such thing as wrestling journalists. And what he meant by that was the moment that someone becomes a somewhat credible source, they become used as a source. Then they become leveraged. Then they're no longer a credible source because the companies will use them to get stories out, good or bad. So there are
because
no
we still are in
sources.
a business of, working.
Oh, sorry, man. I wasn't talking. We weren't talking about you. You're good. I appreciate you.
So they intentionally feed them information as part of storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So
then that immediately negates the credibility of journalism.
Right.
Now there are people that will be like, okay, I saw so-and-so backstage and that gets leaked or reported. Stuff like that does happen. I'm not saying that all the stories are wrong. But the idea of putting people like a Dave Meltzer or these other people as the end-all be-all in data sources is just wildly inaccurate. Like I don't take anything at face. Literally, I was always told by wrestlers everything is a work. And I just don't trust anything unless I see it happen in front of me, pretty much.
Yeah, same. I don't care what's reported.
Not anymore.
Now he kind of dug his own hole.
Yeah, he just wants to watch the world burn. That's all he wants.
Yeah. And as far as Meltzer, like it's been, I think they even talked about it on the One Dark Side of the Ring episode that like Meltzer has long been used as an extension of kayfabe.
Yeah,
and he knows that.
And he absolutely is aware of it.
They intentionally feed him certain things, and he reports it, and it's an extension of kayfabe. But it's like it's another way that the lines of kayfabe are so blurred.
Yeah, blurred like my camera.
Yeah.
Tony kayfabe justice.
That's it.
So many people buy into that. It's real. It's very meta. It's very meta to me. It's like Inception. that like
Okay.
you buy into it being real, but then you're being worked. But the point of it is to be worked. But then some people take it too far into thinking that it's real, and don't understand that these dirt sheet reporters are not reporting like real things. It's very
Deb,
convoluted.
This is where it gets dangerous, though, and some of the stuff that we saw, the death threats, the stalking, the hotel lobbies, when all that stuff becomes real as a result of these stories or these reports, it then becomes not fun wrestling anymore. Like,
Right.
nobody should get death threats over a storyline.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how out there it is. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But like The Rock's daughter, who isn't even part of any of this, was getting death threats because of the report that Cody was being ousted from the main event of WrestleMania. You go, it's a show, like
freaking wrestling show. Yeah,
that stuff really bothers me. So, but I think they negatively also feel that side of it.
Right. So Seth says in the chat, Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp. I do tend to look at what Fightful reports as not credible, but I think like it's hard to even describe. Like, one of the things that I would actually look at as not being negative, but there's a weird thing that like people on like I'm sure you guys have seen this in posts and stuff. People attack Sean Ross Sapp for not getting the scoops on certain things, or like, for instance, like Mercedes Moné, they're like, people attack Sean Ross Sapp for not reporting earlier about her possibly going to AEW, and he's coming out and literally saying like, I had no sources telling me that she was. Like, I'm not going to report something that's not happening or that I don't know. Like, nobody was telling me either way. And so people attack him for not knowing and not reporting spoilers. I don't get that whole thing.
Well, and Seth does bring up a good point. People like Sean Ross Sapp, there are a few, Mike Johnson, there's people who go through great lengths to verify stories before they put them out. But even so, stuff is still put out there. Even if the story is a piece of a storyline. Oh, sure, we verified that's correct because we want them to think that.
Right.
That's not on, that's
whoever
not
his
on the
sources
reporter.
are that he talks to, they could be telling him stuff that is all part of storyline, but he's verified it with that person. He talked to that person, and that's what they told him. He's verified it, so he can report it. But it's still kayfabe.
So, Mac Davis, I want to pull this up because this is an interesting thing. So, who is a credible source journalist? I think I won't name names because I don't read any of them anymore because of the damage they've done to people that I know as a whole dirt sheet topic, not individually. I think that if you are a credible actual journalist and you only report on the facts that you've gotten verified, you're not going to have a whole lot of content. I think that's the problem. I don't think there's enough content that's verifiable in wrestling to create hourly updates on your website or your social media feed. I think that's where the breakdown is.
Right.
Now,
so they have to create clicks, and they have to create, constant contact. So they might report stuff that's not necessarily perfectly credible.
Yeah. I remember back in the day when Jim Ross had the Ross Report, I would listen to that because he would actually talk about some backstage stuff, not too backstage now, but he would talk about some stuff and injuries and why this person is away from the ring, blah, blah, blah.
Wasn't that still all completely kayfabe, just like any of the WWF talk shows that they had at the time? It's still completely kayfabe.
To a point, yeah.
But being disguised as a sports report.
Yeah. Then you had Mean Gene. Call the hotline. We've got news on so and so coming to the WWF. That stuff. I would pay. I would call the hotline. I would listen to Ross Report. Mind you, he would do his show. Jim Ross would do his show from, I think, Georgia. an AM radio. It was an AM radio station, and I would go outside. Like I don't remember what time it was. It was at night. I would go out in my car, 16 years old. Go out in my car, turn the key to accessory, turn my radio to the AM, whatever it was on, and I would barely hear it. I would barely pick it up. But I did that every week. You just said a lot of
words that young people have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Speaking of, off the subject, I upgraded my phone today. The girl that helped me was a 30-year-old girl. And I said something about, she said something about someone walked in and smelled like marijuana. She said, "Oh my God, it smells like a weed factory in here." And I'm like, "Yeah, it smells like ZZ Top concert." And she was like, "ZZ who?"
Well,
and I'm like,
I would walk out.
ZZ Top.
I'm sorry, we can no longer continue this transaction.
She was raised wrong.
And I'm like, "How do you not know who ZZ Top is?" And she's like, "I've never heard." I said, "She's got legs." I started singing legs. She's like, "Never heard it."
Wow.
And I'm just looking at her, and there was a woman down here on the end of the table with her kids, and she
might have been just like raised in a different demographic or genre.
The woman down there, she goes, "Yeah, we're Generation X. We know who ZZ Top is." I was like, "Yeah," I fist bumped her. At the end of the transaction, she was helping me with my phone. She helped me do my Netflix and HBO Max because that's part of my subscription now for my phone.
Nice.
And she goes, "Well, can I help you with anything else?" I was like, "No, but I can help you." I went to my Apple Music and I played Legs. She's like, "You're bound and determined to get me to listen to this song, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yep." Listen, let her listen to the first minute of it. She was like, "Never heard it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Crap."
Upgrade or no upgrade. As soon as that came out of her mouth, I'm like, "I'm sorry, we no longer can continue this transaction. I'll bid you a good day." I said, "Good day."
Second day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my rant for the week. I was, we've seen, and Bully's talked about it too, like a lot of the online bullying is oftentimes the result of these dirt sheet stories. And I think we might not consider them journalists, but they have a responsibility to report things in a responsible way, I think.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to the way that stuff is reported, like someone gets a DUI or there's a family problem or something personal, something of a personal nature. Like you want to report on storylines and who's going where and who the new hottest free agents are. I'm all down with all that stuff. That's all storyline stuff. But sometimes they report stuff that we really shouldn't know about. So
right.
That also bothers me. But just because we've had friends, be suicidal over those things. Like there's been some really rough times. So, all right, end rant.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think, like you said, about having a responsibility. Like Bully mentions all the time about Hana Kimura, and a lot of it is created by this online outrage over reports of something or other, and I think the wrestling industry is emotional at its heart. The whole point of this is to get people emotionally invested in stories. So, and I think that becomes a very delicate situation when you have the extremes of the emotions. And I do think that they need to do a better job of kind of like not feeding into the outrage culture that's out there. There's a big culture everywhere on the internet. It's not just with the wrestling communities. Everywhere on the internet, there's this big culture of outrage. Is people only post or share stories that are intended to anger people, and you don't see a lot of positive stuff. It's all not to talk about that subject, but very much like politics these days, everything is intended to get you riled up, get you angry, and never in a positive way. Like there's never stories about the positivity side of things. It's always anger and fear. And I think these, wrestling journalists do have a responsibility to not feed into that. We can't allow that outrage culture to kind of take over and cause real harm to real human beings.
Yep.
But they don't think about that, Deb.
Well, I think just like anything else, it depends on where they get hit. If the viewership drops and the clicks drop and the income drops, then they're going to have to change the way that they do business. It's like anything else. vote with your wallet sort of thing.
Right.
What do we always say? Like, don't give people oxygen who don't deserve it. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
just, so I only brought that up because it was a Tommy Dreamer thing on the show this week. And I'm like, God damn, it happened again. Like, so what I want to think of, say in a positive light, is one of the reasons why we're all such big fans of Busted Open is they never do dirt sheet stuff. They never spoil anything.
Nope.
And they always have fair and balanced input from a plethora of people who have been there, done that. Different opinions, different viewpoints, different stories. But I think they're a singular source for fans to actually see what it's like to be a pro wrestler, to hear the travel stories, to see the injuries, to get those insights that you don't get just from turning on the TV on a Friday night. So while they're not journalists, they're just veterans and fans. I think it's the best place to go for wrestling talk. Outside of here, of course.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's why I've gravitated towards Busted Open in the first place, is they have fun conversations. And they have, knowledgeable discussions about, and fair discussions, I think, for the most part. And there's so many other wrestling podcasts and stuff out there, but I think consistently Busted Open is probably the best listen.
Yeah. I would say that Busted Open has the whole spectrum as far as opinions on what you're going to get. You're not just going to get one side. I think on the weekends you get an opposite side, a viewpoint of certain issues that won't be shared by Dave and Bully or Dave and Mark. I mean, they'll have differing opinions, but you're hearing both sides throughout the 7 days that you listen to Busted Open. Notice I said 7 days. Let's just get 24 in there, then we'll be rocking. So.
24 and 24.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jake tweeted us out. Appreciate that.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
So the only other for me, I do listen to Sam Roberts' podcast because he's always positive. He's always, what are we excited about? Here's the good stuff that's going on. Maybe a little bit of criticism from a fan's perspective, but he's very knowledgeable, and I come away from it feeling like, oh, I'm glad I listened to that. I'm more excited about the thing that we're enjoying now.
Exactly.
So
I was listening to Cheap Heat with Peter Rosenberg earlier today, and he mentioned Sam. And he mentioned Sam in the sense of, like, Sam is so busy, he does so many things. I think they were talking about, like, they were kind of joking around about every time they record their podcast, like, especially lately, something big happens, like, just after they finished recording. And then people are like, oh, well, why didn't you mention this? And, they're like, well, we can't, we have short window to record. We can't get everything, obviously. And they mentioned Sam Roberts putting out emergency podcasts and all that. And Peter Rosenberg said, like, he genuinely enjoys it. Like, he genuinely loves talking about wrestling all day, every day.
Yeah.
And it seems to be true.
Yep.
Worked out pretty well for him.
It seems to have been, yeah. I'm proud to call Sam a friend, and I've had a lot of conversations with him. He never gets tired of it, and he has so much knowledge to draw from. He is a historian that, like, he remembers matches from, like, when he was 5 or 6 years old. Like, how do you know this shit? I don't remember last week's shows, and I have the notes.
For real.
But so for folks watching, we appreciate you joining tonight. We're going to talk more AEW as we get closer to Revolution. There's so much going on over there. We'll probably dedicate a whole show to it, I would think, as we get closer. There's so much going on in the world of wrestling. We could do like 5 hours of this and still not cover everything.
No,
it's tough to get everything in 1 hour.
Yeah, and you guys got me hooked on TNA now, which is a great show. There's so much going on there. Really cool storylines, and the matches this week were outstanding. Yeah. So check them out as well. Pay the $1 or whatever it is, and just go watch it because it's totally worth it. All right, folks. I think we're gonna call it a night. Let everybody go watch their whatever they watch on Saturdays. I don't know what people.
Hey, we got no
watch
wrestling
anymore.
tonight. They got no collision.
No
So
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Deb. How about you?
I am at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and the Instagram. And I wanted to mention, you kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show, I was on Mindrunner, our friend Mindrunner's podcast. It dropped Monday. Is that Monday?
Monday.
Yeah. And so look it up, Mindrunner with a Y, MYND. On YouTube, it's a show called Mental Health Mondays. We spent close to an hour talking about different mental health topics. It was a fun chat, so check it out.
And thank you for shouting me out on that interview. I appreciate that.
and shout out to Deb for shutting down Busted Open After Dark this past Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
you made your debut.
Making the host speechless. Dare I even say mesmerized?
He was mesmerized by it.
He was mesmerized.
Thank you.
It's not peer pressure when we're right.
Or as Andre said, it's not peer pressure if you just say okay.
Yeah.
If you just do it.
Just pick up the phone. Anyway.
Good
Shout out to
attitude.
Andre.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we love her.
All right, Tony. How about you?
At Tony Justice AJFA on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're a Metallica fan, like I know all of us are, you know what that means. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny?
I don't do the hand thing. I never do it right. So I am at, like it says, at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram and on the Twitter, and follow the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in professional wrestling. That's right, the AK-9K. Follow the Ass Kicker 9K on Instagram. And I have a special shout out this week to a friend, because I am wearing her shirt. You probably can't see, but I am shouting out the mother effing king, Kylan King, who is currently on the mend after having some issues with her knee. Follow her as well on her socials at Kylan King. She is posting updates and is absolutely, pardon the pun, killing it with her rehab always. And I'm really supporting and behind her getting back, because she is so good. And I'm so very happy and proud that the progress that she's making. And lastly, since the old man ain't here, why? Because he is, hashtag, thanks Deb, Nation's Corner on location tonight. The old man is out in Long Island at Victory Pro Wrestling. But as always, you know, here at the Nation's Corner, we are huge with an H on independent wrestling. So when you're out at the show, seeing whoever, wherever, whenever, make sure you throw in that hashtag Nation's Corner on location.
Very good.
That's
and
right.
I am PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X/Twitter, at the Nation's Corner on everything else. Folks, hope you all have a great weekend, long weekend for some of us, and we will see y'all next week. Later.
Yeah.